Okay, the recording is started. So yep, yeah, Venkatesh, let's start with Dataweave session now.
So guys, I hope you are able to see my screen. Can you see confirm,
Yes,
Vikas?
yes, Venkatesh, it's visible.
Sure. So guys, we are going to discuss about a few functions here, not the whole list of data, it's very vast. But I am going to tell you where you can practice your data view and where you can file the whole list of data view functions. Okay. So in the MuleSoft document, under data view references, here you will find all the data view functions. Okay, I'll ping you this link after our session. Okay, but here you will find all the details. Okay, and then there is one more uh, portal. We call it as a data view playground. Okay, so once you go to this particular portal, you will find one tutorial sections and docs also. When you click on docs, you will directly jump onto the data view page. When you click on the tutorials, right, in the left hand side, you will see a table of content. Even if you can go through this also, it will give you one idea how data view works. Okay, so these are the two links where you can always refer back and see how Dataweave works, or if you want to understand, if you're stuck anywhere, right, you can always come back here and see. Okay, so now the thing what I'm going to cover today is first we will talk about selector. So now there are different way. Let's understand what is selector first. Okay, so now I have, let's say I have a simple payload message, message, my name is something. Okay, so now this is a payload, right? Now we have another keys also within the same payload, say message to. So I don't want to give or select all the attributes within the payload, right? I'm interested in a specific one. So the selector will be used for that. For that, you just add a dot and the key name which you are interested. Okay. So that is a selector. And there we have a multiple categories in that: single value selector, multi-value selector, right? Select on object. So basically, this was my one of the object, and on that I have selected a particular attribute. So it's a single value select. Now we might be having an array also, right? So this is one of the example where I have an array. Okay, my payload is an array, and from this payload we may have other attribute also, right? ID, ID 1 2 3, then ID 2 to 2. Okay, but I'm not interested in IDs, right? I'm just interested in the name. So basically I'll just type out name. So I'll be getting all the names, right? So again, within that array, I'm selecting all the names. Okay. So this is how the selector work. Okay. Another example is like we have an object. So usually this will not happen. Okay. But sometimes in corner case scenario, we may find the situation where in the object we have the same keys on the same level. Okay, it's possibility there also. Now I want this as an array. My end goal is I want this as an array, so I can have a multiple selector, right? Dot, and I can just give a star, and I will say just temp. Okay, so it will get converted to array, the temp object. Okay, so selector is basically nothing but the attribute we want, which we want to select from our incoming payload or attributes, right? So we can have a single value selector, we can have a multi-value selector like on. Any question, guys?
No, no.
Someone unmuted. No, right?
No.
Yeah.
You can.
So I think this is very basic stuff. Most of you already know about it. Now we have a concatenation. How do we concatenate in MuleSoft? So in Java, we have a uh, what we say concatenate method, right? To concatenate between two string, two objects. Okay. But how do we concatenate in MuleSoft? So again, let's take one example. I have a object where I'm saying first name, last name. Okay. But when I have to, my requirement is like when I'm making a call to backend, I want a combination of name, as in a full name I want, right? I don't want first name, last name like that. Okay. So in that case, we can just simply have concatenation function, right? Payload dot first name plus plus payload dot last name. So you can see that it's concatenated. Now you can see it's not complete, right? We need some space in between to identify the values, right? Or more readability. So this is how the concatenation work. Okay. So this we have done, and in a what we say, in a string level, right? But we could do on the object level also. Okay. So now we have a payload. Okay, I can add another object to this payload simply by providing the object, right? ABC and PQR. Okay, and similarly on concatenation, if there is a requirement where we don't want a specific key from that payload, now we have three keys in the payload: first name, last name, and ABC. But when I'm sending the request to a backend, I don't need a specific ABC key, right? So simply we could use minus sign to remove that, minus sign to remove that particular ABC key. How minus work? Let's see. 1 minute, guys. So this one I was trying to show you. So it will remove certain keys from the object. Okay. So what we will be doing, we'll just use a minus minus to remove the instance of that particular key from the object. And why it was not removed? So it has to be passed as an array. Sorry, the object it says, but we don't have to pass. Yes, so it has removed, but I'm pretty much sure by providing key only it will get removed. Okay, I'll see how that work, because I don't want to provide value each and every time, right? Only based on key also it will get removed. We have other functions also to remove the keys, but the same thing would be achievable with minus minus also. So I'll check and get that. But yeah, this is how we can remove the object also from the existing object with this plus plus minus minus. Okay. So concatenation we always use plus plus. Any question on this one, guys? Okay.
No.
So again, this is the basic one. Now the map. It is the most usually used function. Okay, at least that's what I have experienced. Okay, the map, right? In the Java we have kind of a for where we are iterating, right, our records. So map is similarly used to iterate over an array. So now if I take an example of an array, right? I take an example of an array, right? So I'm interested in the names only from that particular array, right? And I have to iterate over this particular array and then collect that one. For that purpose, we use map. Okay, and when we use a map, we will see we get the item and the index. So the item is nothing but the item present at that particular index. Okay, so when we use an item here, we could able to access keys at that particular index like a name. Okay, so I'll be able to access names from all the index, right? Ketan, then Ketan 1, like that we will be able to access, or address, right? So that I'm able to access here. When I give the index, it will just provide at which index we are, 0, 1. So it will give the index number. So if you know about Java, right, we define a counter and then we define the variable which holds the value of that particular index, right? So we say we have the same concept here in MuleSoft also. Okay, if you don't define this item index, that is also fine. We can make a use of a dollar. Dollar will work as an item only, and dollar will work as a index. Okay, so whenever you make a use of a map, these are the reserved functions or keywords we can use in the data view to iterate over an object. Understood, guys?
Okay, okay. Both way we can use it.
Yes, both way. Okay. Map is also good, right?
Yeah.
Sure. So now what? If we have an object, right? We have object like this, and I have to iterate over this object to achieve some kind of a transformation. I cannot use map on that, right? Because map needs a array input, but we have a object input, right? So in this scenario, what we will do? Then we have another function called as a map object. So as you can see, right, in this Dataweave playground, when I click space and I type something, it will give a relevant function based on the input what we have. So my input is a object, right? JSON object. So it's giving me a map object. Okay. So with this map object, we can iterate over this particular object. Okay. If I have defined the value here, you can see it has iterate over this and it will combine everything. But my requirement is not like that, right? I need to iterate over the object and convert that into array. Let's say that's my requirement. So you could see, right, I'm getting another object. But now I want the array of it. How can I do it? So we talked about that multi-selector, right? So I'll just go here, simply temp, and I got an array. So you can see here, right? Within the same data view, we could use multiple operators, multiple functions. I have used map object. On top of that, I have used a multi-selector, right? And I got my required output, right? So we got input as an object, and that we have converted into an array. Understood the usage of map object? The difference between map and map object, where we use a map, where we use a map object. You understood this, guys, right? Ketan, any questions?
No. Only thing is this value is how because in normal map we have this key and then index.
Yes,
And
yes.
here it's also assigning some value.
Yeah, so these are the indexes. So basically we are iterating over keys, right? So now we remove this and let's see, you just see this right hand side, how it's changing. When I
Uh-huh.
value, I use value, I'm getting everything, right?
Right.
I use key, it's you see the error you see, right? It's retrieving the temp, as in it's retrieving the root key. We cannot say it as a root, but the key of this, because the map object is iterate over keys, right? Map array, we don't have to worry, right? When we use an array, we don't have to worry about keys. It will iterate over an array,
Mm-hmm.
over an index. right? Here we don't have index, right? So we have to rely on the keys, and
Okay.
based on the keys, it will iterate over object. That's why we have a key here. So if you see here, right, it's trying to fetch a temp key,
Mm-hmm.
right? And index again the same thing. This is 0, 1, 2, like that it will give. Okay,
Okay.
understood?
Mm-hmm.
Clear now the difference between map object.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that we have read and write. This is also very useful functions. Okay. Sometimes in your existing integration also you must have seen the request like this. Not only in MuleSoft but any other existing integration, right? We'll get an inline string data,
Right.
right? And we need to convert that into object. So basically we need to parse that and then convert into appropriate format like JSON, XML like that. And then we need to access that, right? So to achieve that itself, we need to write 4 to 5 different piece of or unit of code, right? Line of code, right? But here in MuleSoft, we have this function called at read. You just make a use of that and it will convert, it will basically serialize this object, right? So it's converting that into an appropriate format. We have an inline string JSON here. Now we have output as a JSON object. Okay. Along with this, we can pass the content type here. Okay. If we know in which format we need this, we can just pass it on here also. Okay, like JSON, XML, like that. Okay, it will fail here because there is no root element. Okay, to this one, so that way it will fail, and the output also I'm giving is the JSON here. Okay, but you can give the content type also, so no need to rely on this output also sometimes.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah.
So now this is about read, but sometimes there is a requirement also, right? That I'll get an object and I want to convert that as a string, inline string, right? So in MuleSoft, we have a function, we have one header called as a indentation false, which will just remove all the indentation and it will convert the JSON object as the same line. But my requirement is not removing indentation only, right? I just need an inline JSON string. So in that format, we can make a use of a write, which will convert your object. So this is we are deserializing, right? We are converting object to a string. You are getting the difference between read and write, right? And the where we should use that,
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
right? So this is about read and write. So when you go to MuleSoft documentation, right? Uh, what is this? Not sure. When you go here, they will explain in detail, okay, what all type of parameters are allowed and how you can pass content type and what other properties are available. So all that things you will find in the documentation in detail. But what we are trying to tell you now, right? We are trying to get you familiar with this Dataweave function, so you have the high level idea when you read this document, right? So you will understood what you are trying to do because you saw that, right? How the conversion is happening, right? So even though I'm explaining this to you now, I would highly recommend to go through this whole document, data view document.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Sure.
Because
Until and unless we hands-on practice, we will
uh,
not be able to get it.
exactly that's what you're observing in the assignments also, right? When
Mm,
we
correct.
talk, you feel like it's understood, but when you directly jump onto the assignment, then you'll get right how
Correct.
it behaves. Yeah.
Correct.
Cool. So that's about read and write. Now we have a filter function also. So like I think I have some example here. So let's take this example only, the array. Okay. So now there might be a situation where we have to filter out our uh, input payload based on certain criteria, right? There might be some situations. So What we usually do, we usually iterate over an array, right? And then we filter it. But MuleSoft will provide one function name as a filter where it looks like map only, but basically it will filter out the record what we don't need it. Like if you see, right, I only need address Mumbai. Okay, so I'll just get Mumbai. If anything else comes in, it will filter it out. Okay, so if the condition satisfy, only that value will be written. Okay, if I get not equal to Mumbai, so only the cities which are not equal to Mumbai should be considered. So this is the use of filter. Understood?
Condition. Yeah, conditions we can give value based kind of.
Yes, yes. So we are kind of filtering our input payload, right? To discard the unwanted values.
Uh, okay.
So that's the purpose of filter. And date. Again, date is very useful function. Okay. So we have the function name as now. So you will get this one. Okay. Then within this we have other kind of parameters. You can get hours of the day, current hour of the day. Okay. This would be shown in the UTC format. Okay. By default. Then you can get a current year. Okay. You can convert date into other format. Okay. As a string, and then you can give some certain format right to it. You can give certain format like mmm yydd something. So whatever format we want, right, we can give like this. Okay, so I want this one, right? Why I want like this, 3rd June 23. So that we can do a manipulation, right, with this function. So this is now function is used for that one. Okay, so I have just covered the basic ones. Okay, there are if you see this documentation, right, there are too many functions. It's difficult to cover everything, right? So you can just go through this. There is a data view core function, then there are arrays, binaries, dates, numbers, object, string types, URL. Then there are something for crypto, encoding, decoding, encryption. Then we handle multi-forms data, right? Attachment and all that is also we have here. So we have this many functions. Okay. So based on your use case, you can choose which function you have to use and implement. Okay. So you can just go through this document. Any questions so far, guys?
No.
Sure. So now this is what I wanted to cover with data view, right? So let's understand how we can make a use of a data view and do some transformation in our use case. So if you remember, right, in previous session we talked about this get all method, right? Our get all is needed in this format as a array, right? But we were getting something else, right? So I don't know my
Yeah.
application is running or not, but I was using your app, okay, to get the details. So we are getting the input in this format, right? So now let's try to convert this particular thing in data view playground. I'm not going to put it into application. Let's understand how we can achieve in the data view playground. Okay, so this is my input. Okay, output what we need is like we like this one. Okay, we name, address, mobile number, and ID. Okay, so now let's see how to achieve that. So can you tell me first thing what we have to apply here?
Read.
Sorry?
Read. We have to.
Yeah, read is for sure is needed, but not at the first instance, right? So once we are enter inside the object, then we need read, right? But before going to read, right, first we need to iterate over this, right?
Right. Right.
So what we will use? We will use
Map.
map object, right? So now We directly cannot use map object, right? Because it throws an error. It requires some kind of a key on which we need a map object. So I'll just create one temp key. So now you could see we are inside this one,
Correct.
but these values are in inline string,
Inline string.
right? So now what we need, read.
Right.
Where we need that read, on value.
On the value.
So now we got the object, right? But still the requirement is not fulfilled. Why? What else is missing here? Tell me now.
But it's everything is in same
I,
key. IDs
right?
are
We need ID. So now how you are going to add ID to it? Concatenation, right? We will be doing concatenation for that, right? You're getting it right, what I'm doing.
slightly.
Hmm? You understood right what I have done?
Mm, just
I'll
getting
repeat.
it. Fine.
Hang on, repeat again. So far this is clear, right? How we come through this part. This is clear, right?
Right.
How we have achieved this.
Correct.
Now in our response, what we need ID also, right? But where we have the ID? ID is named as a key. ID is not present in the value.
Value.
It's
Correct.
key, right? And key can be accessed via this particular second attribute.
Right.
That is named also key, right? Just understanding sake, mention this as a temp key. Okay? So temp key, we will be using a temp key to add that. But at this moment, this is not available, right? So how do we add it? By doing a concatenation, right? I'll just add ID and key.
Template.
Now see the object. We got the ID also,
Right.
right? We have ID also. Now what is missing here? Did we achieve our required output? The output I'll show you again. So this we need output as an array, right?
Correct.
Did we achieve our required output? No, right? So what should be used here now? Tell me. Multi-selector, right? We will be using multi-selector on 10.
Okay. You got it.
And we got our required output. So
Mm,
you understood, right? How we made a use of a different functions what we have learned just now, right? We use a map object to iterate over object. We made a use of a read to convert or serialize this particular inline string, right? Then we have used concatenation to add the key. We use a multi-selector to convert that to an array required format.
right.
So this is the required format we need it. Okay. And
Yeah.
same thing what we have to do now, we just have to put it on the experience layer. So now when we go to experience layer, this is my get all, right. I'll just add a data view here. One minute, it's loading up. So I'll just add a data view and just copy paste that particular data view script what we have wrote here. Understood, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So see, data view playground is very useful place, but we
Correct.
have to also ensure that we are not adding any sensitive data here. Okay. We can just test our script with some dummy values, but not with the sensitive data.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll just add this one here, and it will When I start running, let it run. I have saved it. It will give me the desired output when it's saved. Okay. So that's about the data view. Any question, guys? Anything? Okay, if no questions, right? Then let's move on to your assignment part. Okay. So far you have developed uh, create customer, get customer by ID, then update customer by ID, and delete customer by ID. So I'm giving a new endpoint which is named as partial update by customer ID patch method. So mistakenly I have mentioned this as a put here. So for experience layer also it's a patch. Okay. So how it works? You will make a call to experience patch customer ID method that will make a call to a P customer API. From P customer API, you will make a call to S customer API existing get customer by ID API. With this particular API, you will be getting all the details of that particular customer. Then in process layer, once you have that detail, you will write a Dataweave script and you will modify only the updated values. When I say partial update, right, I can update only name, I can update my last name, I can only update address, I can only update the mobile number. Okay, so whatever value is changed, only that thing needs to be considered here. And once you have done that transform message, you have to again make a existing system API call update customer by ID. So you will be making call to a put. Okay, and then you update that and then response will be sent. So no changes required in the system layer, new endpoint required in the experience layer, and another new endpoint required in the process layer. So with this assignment, what I'm trying to show you, right, how we can make a use of existing endpoint. So we are trying to reuse the existing endpoint, and we are trying to do a business logic in the process API by making call to multiple existing systems and try to achieve our requirement. That's the goal behind this particular assignment.
So,
Understood?
what is the difference between put and patch? Put is also used for update, right?
So put is a whole update, right? Put as in you will update whole object at once. Patch is a partial update, right?
Okay.
So when you read about this HTTP methods, right, the links which we have shared in the second or third session, if I'm not wrong, so there they talked about these methods also. So even if you googled it, right, so put is always do a whole update. It will update everything. Name, first
Okay.
name, whatever value you pass, it will update everything.
Hmm.
Patch is a partial update. I just want to update few records within that particular object, right? So if you
Okay.
talk in terms of database, right? In database, when I do a update, I will be updating all rows at once. That consider as a put. But if I'm updating only few columns, consider that as a patch.
Okay. Okay.
Understood, right?
So in this assignment, we have to update a particular field. For that, we will call the process API that will first get all the details of that particular ID.
Hmm.
In that, we will only modify the what you say,
The value
the
which you
values
are
what is
from the
requested
request.
from the request. So let's say in our example, we have name, address, mobile. Let's say we have to update mobile number. So first call will go to process API, which is with patch as a method. We'll get all the details, name, address, mobile in the
Mhm.
response from system API. Then we will update whatever mobile number we have. Let's say if mobile number has to change.
Yes.
So we are using put method. So we will consume name and address from the system API and mobile number from the request, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So whatever value get changed, see, even I'm passing mobile number, name, address as a request, okay? But
Hmm.
only mobile number is getting modified. So you have to do a comparison with the incoming request as well as the request present in your object store. And that
Oh, okay.
comparison you will be
That
doing
way.
here. And based on that, you will map your fields and do the update at the end. Okay,
Oh, okay, okay. Mm,
that's right.
okay.
Yeah, it's not that complex when you just go into it, right? You will
Mhm.
understand what's
Okay,
happening.
okay.
That's why, yeah, that's why we wanted to just give you a single assignment for this week. So you would understand the whole API-led connectivity concept, how you make
Mm,
a complex experience process system layer, and when to only use process layer. So far, we haven't used process layer because that was just a single call, right? There was no complex transformation, no orchestration. We were not connecting with multiple systems. So
mhm,
you will understand why the process layer is coming into picture. So you will get to know in actual real-time scenario also when to use process and when not to, right?
okay.
Again, you will understand the data view. We went through the data view functions, right? So
Mhm,
you will push up that data view knowledge with this transformation. You will understand the reusability, how we are reusing the APIs in MuleSoft with API-led activity, right? So all these things would be understandable with this particular assignment. So that's the purpose of this
mhm.
overall.
Got it. Okay, okay.
I think then that's pretty much from my end. If you don't have any questions, over to you, Vikas.
Yep. Thank you, Venkatesh. I think, yeah, we can wrap up this session. So in the next session, we will cover the API management part. Okay. Thank you, guys. Then.
Ketan, you